MOULDAFRICA.
Hello, this is Tekena again, the CEO of MOULDAFRICA. And if you're still watching the video, then kudos to you, because together we're going to be looking exactly how to implement the curricula in MOULDAFRICA in the book you've read or the book you've purchased, to be able to galvanize a new generation that is unleashed with their potentials. In MOULDAFRICA, there are certain books you need to have had for emotional intelligence. Number one is the book, My Emotions and I. That's it on this. You need to get this book. It's available in all the websites that you see below and the phone numbers you see on the screen. You can use that to get My Emotions and I. Number two, you will need a manual, a teacher's manual or a trainee's manual. This manual is available completely free now. Effective August 2018, this manual is absolutely free at the website you find on the screen. Just click on this website, register, you get this manual completely free. Why are we doing this? We want to do this because we want everybody to have access to this amazing curricula pattern we've developed to increase and improve emotional intelligence. I'm excited because this world is going to be happening all over, because we've tested it, we've proved it, and we know you can now have it right in your doorsteps. So simply go to that site, download it, and you get that material free. Now, once you've got these two, the book and the manual, now coming back to watching this video, and I'll show you exactly what I mean. Now, in MOULDAFRICA, we use what is called the S.A.G.E, S-A-G-E pattern of deploying a method that improves and increases emotional intelligence. It's called the S.A.G.E. We want to develop guys who are excellent and brilliant, especially if you're doing this for a school or at home with your teenagers or kids, or even for yourself in your 40s or 50s. It doesn't matter. Just remember that you want to do something using the S.A.G.E. What does S.A.G.E. stand for? S stands for sequenced. A stands for active learning. G stands for games, fun and games. And then E stands for evaluation, the S.A.G.E. Now, why is this important to use the S.A.G.E. and to remember the S.A.G.E.? You remember the S.A.G.E. because if something is going to transform a life, it has to disrupt the thought pattern that took it to where it is right now. You have to change the thought pattern, because you see, as a man thinks, that's how he is. So the thought pattern of your kids or yourself or your employee that brought them to where they are cannot be the same thought pattern that takes them forward. Not at all. You see, the current thought pattern is what gave them the current level of EQ they have. If you're going to bump it up, if you're going to increase it, if you're going to get optimal performance, then you have to change the way the person thinks. I repeat, you have to do what? Change the way the person thinks. So how do you do that? By having a sequenced, regular intervention in his thought pattern. Simple that. So what we did was this. You have the book with you. It is not just a collection of stories, not at all. They are a collection of sequenced stories, each story achieving a distinct point or a distinct skill or a distinct learning point. Now, by following true sequenced, it gives you enough things for one whole year or at least 42 weeks to be able to change a thought pattern. So in the book, My Emotions and I, you will see that there are 13 stories. Each story has a discussion point, has a mentor's corner, and in the manual, you will soon see that for each story, there's games that you can do and a homework or classwork that you can do for that same story. So for each story, for example, take for example, a story like Tattoo on the Mind. With Tattoo on the Mind, there's a mentor's corner. There's a games and discussion, there's a classwork, and there's a homework. That's amazing. That's why it's sequenced. So if you go and just read just the story and say, yay, I read a story, and you go home, you only read a story. You didn't do the mentor's corner. You didn't play the games. You didn't do the classwork. You didn't do the homework. That's why it's sequenced. So you're just rushing through the book. You wasted the book. No, 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 no. Go back every time you read the story. Do each of these other things to be able to bring home the full benefits of that one particular story. Most importantly is that for every story, there are about 2 or 3 resiliency skills attached to the story. What's a resiliency skill? I'll save you the technical details, even though you can look at the manual. But I'll just tell you, there are 7 resiliency skills. You see the 7 of them? There are 7 resiliency skills that helps you to increase or improve emotional intelligence. As each skill is increased or learned or perfected, emotional intelligence is increased, learned, and perfected. That's basically it. So in the manual, we give you definitions of each of these. And just in case you don't know where it is, I'm also going to put up these definitions at the end of the video. At the end of the video, I'll give you each resiliency skill and its definition. So at the end of the video, just go through the end, scroll through the end, and you will be able to read each of them and understand the importance of each resiliency skill. That's simply amazing. But to save us the time, you would see that for each particular story, a resiliency skill is attached to it so that you can then be able to improve, increase, or optimize emotional intelligence. So for example, let's look at Tattoo on My Mind. In the story Tattoo on My Mind, there are 3 resiliency skills in the manual there. You should see it around page 10, even though we know we didn't number it, but look around page 10, you will see a table. In that table, you'll be able to see exactly each of the story, the resiliency skills, and everything that happens for each of them. That is because this is sequenced. It is sequenced. As you take this sequenced pattern for each of the story, you will be getting the very, very best of it.
MOULDAFRICA.
So therefore, in the book, you always see questions for discussions. The more you make it a group activity, which you and your friends can sit down and say, what was this that you learned here? What did you learn? Now, because you're using discussions, it provokes active learning and brings it into practical everyday life. So if you're running a teens club, or you're in a secondary school, or you're just bothered about your kids, not really bothered, you just want to see that their emotional intelligence is in their day-to-day lives, then when you read the story, don't just close the story. No, 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 no. Take the discussion points and go through the learning points, and then the questions that are there, begin to ask one another, and run it through each of them in the group, and let them discuss as they share their points. What they don't know is that that's active learning, bringing it into their everyday life, and that's exactly how you do the deployment of EQ, and it becomes fun and games. So you have S.A.G.E for the games I just mentioned. So you see that in the manual for each story, you see the games. We explain the games, and it becomes a little competitive, maybe boys and girls, or men versus women, or group A versus group B. And as they do all these fun and games based on the story, it helps to enhance emotional intelligence. You see, that's amazing. And then I'll come to E much later about evaluating everything. So you need to make sure that you have a baseline for where they are currently, or where you are currently, and then afterwards, at least 3 months, you do another emotional intelligence test to see that you've improved, as the case may be, or the entire school, or your kids, or your children, or your word has improved. You see, that's the SAGE, S-A-G-E, and that's exactly how we rule this game. So this is what I recommend. I recommend that you take a story, you devote about the 20 minutes that story requires. Once again, for example, Tattoo on the Mind. When you read it for about 20 minutes, that should take you through the discussion, the storyline. Then you do the discussion based on that. Stop for that week. Don't push them too hard. Just read the story, do the discussion. So in other words, about 45 minutes, 40 minutes, you're through. The next week, when you come again, take that story, look at the workbook. There's a workbook. You take through the workbook, and with the workbook, let them feel all the things you learned. Even you also, if you're an adult or parent, go through the workbook. It'll help you recall a lot of things you went through in the book and how it applies to you. That becomes amazing. When you're through with that, you then move to the games. So you go through the manual. In the games, it will show you what is the games you're supposed to do, and you play that particular game. And when you play that particular game, which in this case is playing the statue, when you finish playing the game called playing the statue, maybe 25 minutes, everyone has played the game called playing the statue. Then you now go and do the classwork or the homework, and use 10 minutes to explain them. That's about 10, another 15 minutes. So you see, you need another 45 minutes, and you're still just on one story. So in summary, for example, in Tattoo on the Mind, you have the Mentor's Corner, which is handling bitterness. You have games and discussions, which is playing the statue. You have a classwork, which is how do I see it? And you have a homework called emotional squares. That's amazing. So by going through this, you will discover that at least each story can be treated 2 to 3 times for each story. And there are about 13 of them. Multiply them by 3, that's about 39 weeks. That's more than 2/3 of a year just running through and digesting this book. Not just take it and sit down and read through the stories. No, you've wasted the book. No, not at all, you've wasted the book. You need to take it in a sequenced way, active learning, good, G what? Games, and then E what? Evaluation. And this is how you use the curriculum or curricula, as the case may be, to be able to sequentially active learning with games drive home the learning points that disrupts the thought pattern so that you can form new thoughts for new behavior. Did you get that? New thoughts for new behavior. So it's deliberate. MOULDAFRICA is intentional with this. Now finally, it brings you to E, which is evaluation. You see, if something is very good, you have to have a way to evaluate it. So like I told you in the previous video, you need to go to MOULDAFRICA.com. You will see online assessments. And when you click on online assessments, you would see emotional intelligence test. That's right, emotional intelligence test. Or you can simply just click on the link that is on the side. This link. When you click on this link, it can immediately take you straight to that site. You register, you make your appropriate payment, you will be able to take a test. Now, please, I say this to you. If you have a group, a large number of people who need to take this test, we can arrange special discounts for you. Just reach us on our contacts that are at the end of this video, and we can arrange a pool and something which a group of people in the entire school can take this test. But this is the essence. When you go to the hospital, or if you do go to the hospital, and the doctor says your temperature is very high, and you say, what's the temperature? And he says it's 40 degrees or 42 degrees, and he's all alarmed. It's because they've been able to establish a baseline that the human regular body temperature is about 36, 37 degrees. And to take it to 40 or 42, that's really high because there is an increase from a baseline. It's the same thing with emotional intelligence. You don't just attend a seminar and say, I've done this, I've been there. No. Or you just read a book and say, I've read the book about emotional intelligence. No. You have to establish a baseline. As at March 2017, this was my baseline for EQ. And then 3 months after, boom, this is my new baseline. Have I improved? Have I decreased? Have I made progress, or am I still where I am? That's what you need to do in the S.A.G.E, S-A.G.E, where E stands for what? Evaluation. You have to periodically evaluate yourself. So for example, as I close, on the screen on my right hand is a test that was done by someone whom we used, who agreed for her results to be on this video. You can see that she had a major challenge with her results. That's a result right there. And in this result, you can see that she's struggling with about 4 key areas. And you see the areas that need attention. That is exactly how the result shows on the website. It shows exactly like that because it takes each of the 5 categories of emotional intelligence and scores you, telling you where you need urgent attention or developmental priority or where you're already strong in. So in this particular result, which was taken in March 2018, the person in question had this result. Now, after using our tools and going through our trainings and going through the S.A.G.E method, in July 2018, she took another test. If you couldn't evaluate this, then how do you know you're improving? So with MOULDAFRICA, you get S.A.G.E. You get sequenced, you get active learning, you get fun and games, you know, and then you get what? Evaluation. That's what makes this a robust system that gives you the tools you need to increase and improve emotional intelligence. My name once again is Tekena Ikoko, and I'm so excited for this curriculum and this tool for homes, for families, and office personnel. If you need more information on this, all our details are now on the screen. Send me an email, send us a call us rather. Whatever we need, we want to make sure you have this readily available for you. I'm excited at this project for Africa. I'm excited about this project for the rest of the world. Emotional intelligence is no longer an option. Use this video and use all the tools we've asked you to go through. And then, of course, if you need now some detailed training, we'll be there for you. We'll certainly be there for you. Reach us on our numbers and look for our schedules when next we're coming to your town or when next we're doing our online training. Thank you very much. It's MOULDAFRICA saying, get unleashed.
MOULDAFRICA.